In this video, we will present a few rhetorical tools used by a famous great persuader, Steve Jobs. We will introduce Steve Jobs and give examples for 3 rhetorical devices: anaphora, interrogatio, and personal stories.
Stephen Paul Jobs was born on February 24, 1955 in San Francisco, California. His 2 biological parents put him up for adoption, however, one of the requirements was that he had to get a college degree. He attended Reed College, which is a liberal arts college in Oregon, and he had a very low GPA of 2.65. He later on dropped out of college because he was more interested in LSD and learning about Eastern philosophy than going to class. He then moved to a little hippie community in Oregon where his main job was cultivating apples. Shortly after, he ended up moving back to California and found a job with Atari. When he worked for Atari, he was moved to the night shift because of complaints about his personal hygiene. His workers said he rarely showered and walked around the office barefoot. He used his earnings from Atari to travel to India, where he was trying to seek enlightenment. When he returned, he started to get more and more interested in what his business partner, Wozniak, was working on. While Jobs was away, Wozniak joined a club of early computer hobbyists that was called the Homebrew Computer Club. With the knowledge Wozniak took from those meetings, he ended up building his own computer board. Jobs knew that Wozniak's computer could make them successful, so he convinced Wozniak to start a computer company, and on April 1, 1976, Apple Computers was born. In December of 1980, his company went public only 4 years after it was started. After this, Steve Jobs' net worth increased to $200 million at the age of 25. When Steve Jobs died on October 5, 2011, his net worth was $10.2 billion.
Anaphora is the repetition of the first word or phrase of each sentence. Speakers use this rhetorical tool by creating a rhythm to their words and emphasizing the idea by using the same tone every time. Speakers use this because they want to emphasize the idea they are trying to convey in order to persuade, inspire, motivate, and encourage their audience. As a result, the audience will pick up on the repetition and cling to the words following the repeating phrase and create an emotional effect of awe that this idea is powerful and important.
Well, how do you solve this? It turns out we have solved it. We solved it in computers 20 years ago. We solved it with a bitmap screen that could display anything we want, put any user interface up, and a pointing device. We solved it with the mouse, right? We solved this problem. So
Steve Jobs uses anaphora in this example by repeating "we solved it." He says this 4 times within the section of the speech. Jobs' goal by doing this is to emphasize the idea that Apple has the answers to problems we face with wanting to use our mobile phones like we use our computers. This repetition creates the emotion of awe or surprise in the audience by persuading them that this idea is important. Also notice how the tone in his voice rises as he says the repeating words. He does this well.
nobody wants a stylus, so let's not use a stylus. We're going to use the best pointing device in the world. We're going to use a pointing device that we're all born with. We're born with 10 of them. We're going to use our fingers. We're going to touch this with our fingers. And we have invented a new technology called multi-touch, which is phenomenal.
Steve Jobs uses anaphora in this example by repeating "we're gonna." He emphasizes the idea that we can use our own fingers instead of a detached tool. He creates a confidence in the fact that we will do this. This creates awe in the audience by persuading them how great this idea is, and his confidence in the idea persuades his audience that they are going to use it, no doubt.
Now, again, I've got playlists here. I can go into my playlists. I've got artists. I've got songs. I've got more over here. I've got, albums. I got a great album view, again, that shows all my album artwork right here if I want. And I've also got audiobooks and compilations and things like that. I've also got videos here. So I push videos, and I've got a video podcast loaded on, and a music video, and I've got a TV show and a movie, and I'd like to just show you the TV show here.
Steve Jobs uses anaphora in this example by repeating "I've got." He says this several times within the section of the speech. The more he repeats the words, the more he's emphasizing the idea that there are a lot of different functions one can use on the iPhone and just the iPod application. This creates awe or surprise in the audience by persuading them that this idea is very intricate.
When doing his presentations, Steve Jobs asks a lot of rhetorical questions. This is a rhetorical device called interrogatio. He uses phrases like "isn't that awesome" while demonstrating and displaying one of his products. By using this technique, Jobs gets the audience excited, and he also plays a part in telling them how they should think about a particular feature. An example being Jobs demonstrates a movie playing on landscape on the new iPhone back in 2007. He shows the audience that the phone has on-screen controls, something not seen before. He asks the audience, "Isn't this cool?" This isn't a question that is meant to be answered. It's a statement about the product, meant to persuade the audience to buy it. Does this strategy actually work? The iPhone has had huge success. Initially coming out in 2007, it was sold out in many AT&T stores nationwide. Both Apple and Steve Jobs have started a movement in the electronic industry, and a huge part of that is because of Steve Jobs' rhetoric.
Isn't that cool? Little here, of course. Isn't that awesome? And again, I've got on-screen controls here. Isn't this cool? So we can be watching. So that is the iPod. Pretty cool, huh? 5 of them first before you wanted to listen to the 6th. Wouldn't that be great if you had random access voicemail? I can just swipe through my photo library. Oh, there's one that's landscape. I can just turn my device and take a look at it. Pretty cool, huh? Boom. Right? So I can even swipe when I'm in landscape here. You know? Isn't this awesome? There we go. Yep. Isn't that incredible?
And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me. And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. The doctors told me this was almost certainly a type of cancer that is incurable, and that I should expect to live no longer than 3 to 6 months. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means to try and tell your kids everything you thought you'd have the next 10 years to tell them in just a few months. It means to make sure everything is buttoned up so that it will be as easy as possible for your family.